Hello, you all. Thank you for tuning into the Kiya Amajioyi show. For those of you who may know me from back in the day, 2016 was the last episode that aired on television. So I'm coming back after 7 years, right? 2016 to 20 years, 7 years. I started in 2008, but for those of you who don't, hi, I'm Kiya Amajioyi. Today on the show, for the first show of the year, of the new year, 2023, I have Dr. Monique Caradine-Kitchens here with me today. Her main purpose, and I want to tell you this, her main purpose is to show listeners how to do better with money, make more money, rewrite their money story, and get on the path to wealth and abundance. And this goes as far as women empowerment, but anything that somebody gives you as far as advice for anybody, it can go for anything, but her main goal is for women empowerment. So welcome, Dr. Caradine-Kitchens. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me and to be the first to kick off the new year. Like, oh my goodness, I'm honored.
No
Thank you so
problem. No
much.
problem. You're welcome. You're welcome. And you coming to this point in your journey, as far as all of what you've gone through, what really gave you the wherewithal to go ahead and do something that you know that was necessary to help people to avoid making these mistakes in their own journeys, in their own personal journeys?
Yeah. Well, the story for me goes way back to how I experienced money growing up. And I didn't realize that I had to rewrite my own money story until I got into my career, right? And I was, really successful in my career early on. But my bank account wasn't matching my brilliance.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so I had to take a look at that and try to figure out what was wrong. And initially I thought it was all about, I'm not in the right circles, or I don't work for the right company, or I'm just a little black girl from the south side of Chicago. And so I'm going to always, be maligned and whatnot. But I found out after a lot of research and a lot of discovery that it had nothing to do with any of that.
Wow.
But what it had something to do with was the money story that was creating this experience, this external experience that I was having with money. And so I had to rewrite my own money story. And it's really a journey. It's not something that you don't write any book overnight. So when you're rewriting your money story, you're really changing your inner DNA when it comes to how you feel about money. Or as you said, this ain't just about money. This could relate to anything.
Yes.
We all have a story. And so I had to rewrite my story. It took years to do it. I'm still rewriting. It's constantly evolving. And I said, your test is always your testimony. Your mess is always your message. So, I know that I've been chosen to do this work, and it's just an honor for me to be able to share some of the things that I've learned over the years with the people that I get to work with.
Yes, and I appreciate that. I feel like a lot of the advice that I've received over the years, in general, any advice that I receive, I'm going to take it with joy. But a lot of advice has been free advice. So it's like, why not give people the opportunity to listen to more of it and get more of it? And when you receive so much over the years, you want to do something to give back to people. Because in these days and times, one of my main objectives and purpose for bringing the show back this time around is really to focus on geared towards mental health. And I know a lot of that kind of stems from that sometimes I feel like that's what kind of messes us up with money too, but having a kind of wrong kind of, mental health or whatnot. So I really want to make sure that, regardless of whatever somebody's going through, that they still have this aspirational desire to make sure that if I'm messing up right now, then I can eventually get to a point where I can be doing better. So I love that about your story, especially the part where I wanted to ask you, what gave you the strength to walk away from your job?
Ooh.
Wait. Aside from your side hustle, give you more money at the time. Aside from your negotiation falling through,
You did your research. I like that. The thing that gave me the strength to walk away from my job was my son and my husband. At that time when I walked away from that job, I had a baby that was less than a year old, and he shifted everything for me. So I knew once I became a mother that I had to really make sure that whatever I did would create a legacy for him. I knew that if nothing else, I wanted to be able to leave my son a company that he could work for, so he didn't have to go through all the changes that we typically go through when we work for somebody else, right? He could run his own business if he wanted to. Now, my son is almost 20 years old now. So, and he ain't thinking about my business, but I just wanted to be able to have that. And I knew that I had to stand up for myself. Because even if my son don't take my business, I need him to see me and his dad standing in our own truth, standing with integrity in everything we do. And that was one of the first steps, Kiya.
Yes.
Am I going to say in this job, which was a job I loved, don't get me wrong now. It was a job that I really love, still to this day, one of my favorite jobs ever.
Wow.
But, you know, when you become a parent, I was like, okay, I'm putting everything into this job. They can't give me a raise. And then I got this baby over here that I want to spend time with. I want to be able to take to school and stuff. And I knew that entrepreneurship would give me the freedom to be able to do that. And thank God, you know, my son grew up. He never had to take the bus. Thank God. He never had to, like, we were there if I had to go on a trip and chaperone. So those are just some of the little gifts that came through me having the courage to say, I love your job. It's been fun, but this over here, this freedom, this baby, this whole, all these ideas inside of me, I love that more.
Yes, because then you're living for something other than yourself. I feel like oftentimes with many of us, we really have the desire to do the best job that we can do. But then you think to yourself, well, why can't y'all, you know, give me a raise? Why can't you do this? But then, like you said, when you're living for something other than yourself, then it's time to really kind of reshift focus and get your life right, get it together. So I love
that's
the fact
a whole
that you
word.
Yeah. I love the fact that you really took charge. Did it make you feel any kind of way though? You know, as far as like when the negotiation fell, did it make you feel like, man, here I am, you know, and I'm doing the best that I can? Did it make you feel like a little, like, what's the word for it? Like, invalidated you or whatever? I'm just trying to find the right word, but did it make you feel some kind of way?
That's a good question. You know, two things. First of all, the negotiation that fell through, it never even really got to the negotiation phase. Like, it was a conversation. I had set it up. We knew that we were coming to the table to talk about an increase, but it never did get to that back and forth that you usually think about when you think about a negotiation. It was just like, okay, let's start this meeting. Sorry, but there's no money. And that was the end of the meeting. You know, so did I feel some kind of way? At first I did. But then I realized that, you know, okay, I bounced back out of that because the person that I worked for is a person that I really respect and admire to this day.
Yes.
There's no hard feelings, but I just knew that business is business. Okay.
Just like it is for them. Business is business for you as well.
You know? So you can't take that personal at the end of the day. You got to get your emotions out of your money. And that's the thing. Another thing that I teach people. We have to figure out how to disconnect our emotions from our money. Because when you mix up your emotions with your money, it becomes harder to make the kind of money that you desire. It becomes harder to create the kind of wealth that you desire. Because money is just money. What is it? I mean, if I had $1 on me right now, you know, it's like, what? It's a piece of paper. So why are we so emotional about it? Why is there so much tension about it? It's because, I'll tell you why, if I may, and I'd love to get your feedback on it.
Okay.
One of the reasons why we're so emotional, there's several reasons. Thank you for letting me think out loud for a second.
I want you to. I like this.
So one of the reasons we're so emotional about money is because we, again, have such an interesting, complicated, layered story. Many of us have come from a background where there was lack or scarcity, or maybe even poverty. There's some guilt and shame about money. Some of the things we were taught about money. Money don't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. You know, all them old folk tales that we got from our parents and grandparents, right? So we're emotional about it because of that story. And that story has made us subconsciously believe that money is our source, that we've got to hold on to it. We've got to hoard it. We got to hustle and grind to get as much of it as we can, right? Because the money is our source.
But in your own words, you said if you're generous enough, then God is your source. You said God is your source. If you're generous with your money, you're not trying to hold it. God is your source. And I love the fact that you said it, because a lot of time, in my own personal belief, I don't want to try to steer anybody else, whatever they believe in or whatnot, but for myself, if that is your source, then you should always know that regardless of what I give out or what I don't have at the moment, God is going to always see that I got some money. So
come on now. Yes, it's so true. And like you said, we're not trying to cause anybody to believe in a certain thing. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's like, God is my source. And a
Yep.
couple of things happened throughout life that taught me that. But it's like money is not your source. And giving it is one of the biggest and best and easiest ways that you can create more of it. But the other reason why, just to finish out that point,
Yeah.
the other reason why we're so emotional about money is because we don't really understand it. We don't really take the time to build a relationship with it. And I'm not saying you got to be all in there with money. Ooh, money, money. No, not like that. But just like I did yesterday, I literally got a report from my bookkeeper for my business, my P&L, my profit and loss report for my business.
Okay.
17 pages long, real teeny tiny writing. So an example of me really getting in there, whereas in the past I didn't do this, but really getting in there and understanding what is happening with my money. I went line by line, and I'm telling you, the writing was this little. And I went line by line to see, okay, this is where I made money. This is where the expenses are. Why did I spend that much on that? Like, I know that this year I'm not going to spend all of that money on that. Oh, I need to get rid of that. I need to delete that subscription. I need to make some changes. So I'm really in there. And once a week, I tell people to do this. Really get in there and see where your money is coming from and where it's going.
Where it's going.
Because this is how you release some of that anxiety that we tend to get with money. This is how we become more confident with our money. This is how we establish a relationship with it, because whatever you focus on is going to grow. And when you can focus on and really say to yourself, okay, I know I need to work on this area. I know I need to save better. I know I need to do basic fundamental things. I ain't even talk about nothing complicated. Just keep it simple, saving and not spending more than you make. Simple as that, right?
Simple as that.
So those are some of the ways that we can remove our emotions from our money. When somebody asks us for something, if we've got an account that is labeled giving, this is my giving account. It's like a bucket. I'm just going to put some money in this account. So if cousin Ray needs something or Auntie Joan needs something, I can go in my giving bucket and be like, hey, I don't have a lot, but I can give you $50, or I can give you $100, or I can give you 500. This is how we get rid of the emotion out of the money and make it work for us. I know that was a long answer, but
but I appreciate it. And when you say give, you give without wanting to, knowing that you may not get it back. Because a lot of times, I guess some of us want to loan or whatnot, but in these days and times, I guess, you just give with just sheer generosity. Here it is, I'm not expecting it back. You asked for it. I hope it can help you out somewhat.
Yeah, generosity is the key to a financial breakthrough, I believe. Generosity, having gratitude around whatever you currently have, and just respecting your money. Those are things that will really cause money to begin to flow to you with more ease and more grace.
Now, what you said in your book, How to Embrace Your Inner Millionaire, you said you writes that money flows freely to 4 types of people: people who understand it, people who respect it, people who are not afraid of it, and people who are generous with it. So it can be any of those types of people. So I want to ask, if you have one of these types, then will money flow freely?
Yeah, I think so, because I think even if you have one of those characteristics, it's easy to cultivate the others. If you understand money, meaning you understand how it works, you understand that there's no shortage of it in the world. You understand that there's some simple, basic, fundamental, non-complicated precepts around money that if you implement that, you understand money. And then if you understand it, then you're more likely to respect it. And that's just simple things like making sure it's not crumpled up in your wallet or your purse, making sure that it's organized and the places where you keep your money are not chaotic, because money cannot thrive in a chaotic environment. Simple stuff. What was the other one? You're not afraid of it. So like in my scenario, I was talking about going in to negotiate a pay raise, right? So often, because we don't know our value or we don't know our worth, we'll go in and sell ourselves short because I don't want to ask for too much, because they may, tell me no. So I'm going to ask for $15,000 less so that they just won't get to it. It's like, why are you afraid? It's just money. It's just money. And then, so when you have some of those things, then it's easy for you to attract money, respect and understanding, no fear and generosity. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We can end a conversation with just those 4 things.
Mm-hmm. But I'm glad you said it about, money is just money. If somebody's asking for 15,000 or less, because I guess in my mind, how do you get people to know their worth without overdoing it? And I guess in my terms of overdoing it, some people, you got to really know your worth and know how much you put into your life to know that you deserve this much in life.
Yes.
But then some people can come out with some kind of ridiculous ballpark amount, knowing they're not going to get that.
Exactly. It's such a great question, Kiya. And I'm glad you asked it because I'm actually working on some content right now around knowing your value and knowing your worth. So again, this is my lab today. I get to break it all down thanks to
I
you.
like it.
So let's talk about value first, because before you know your worth, you need to know your value.
Okay.
And what is intrinsically built into your value are a couple of things. How much experience do you have, right? How many years of experience do you have, Kiya, doing what you do, right? So knowing how many years come with that, how much personal development education have you invested in yourself to be as good as you are at what you do, right? Like I can literally, because I just looked at my P&Ls yesterday, I know how much I spent on personal development last year. And so
it's a necessary component. It's necessary to have personal development. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a must. So, and then I can also look at my past experience. So I'm a coach and I can look at, the success that my clients have experienced thanks to working with me. Not that, when I work with clients, I don't take credit for what they do, but I can see that they get results that they came for. So what do you have? You have years of experience. You have the amount that you've invested in yourself, and you've got proven results. If you work for a company, for instance, and you've helped them make more money, you helped them make $100,000 more last year, or you help, them shave their budget, that's value. So that is how you equate, or that is how you determine your value. Now, when you can look at all those years of experience, that's your value. Now you can put a dollar sign to your worth. Never, ever just come out the blue with a random number to articulate your worth. You got to say, okay, here's the value that I bring to the table right here, all these things. Now, this is what that equates to. And so that can equate to how much you should make a year. That can equate to how much you should make per quarter if you're an entrepreneur, or how much you should make per hour if you're a freelancer. Do those numbers. Think about how much you want to make for this year, since we're still at the time of this recording at the beginning of the year. And now you can say, okay, I got all this. I know in my head that I need to make this amount of money to meet my lifestyle. So this is how I determine my worth.
Your worth.
That makes sense?
Yes, you broke it down so perfectly.
Thank you.
People need to understand it from that level, because then you have your evidence. You have what you're showing to people. This is why I came up with this amount, because I put money into this. I've done that. I went through this. So you're showing people that you know yourself. You know what you're doing.
Exactly. My husband and I were just having this conversation yesterday, and it was so powerful because he was like, my hourly rate is this, and he's got the value. I mean, we're valued at over $100 million. So now, since he's shifting into a different business model, then of course he should be able to charge that much per month. I mean, per hour. You know what I mean? Because he's got the value and the proof, like you said. And then everybody's talking about Beyonce and her ticket prices. Monique, listen, she brings value. So her ticket prices are worth that. So don't get mad at Beyonce because she knows her value and she knows her worth. So I think we need to all get on the Beyonce train and be like, okay, I know my value and it's non-negotiable. And again, people gonna get mad. They're gonna think, who she thinks she is, but that's because they have their emotions and their money.
Exactly.
Whereas you don't. I understand how money works. I ain't afraid. I will tell you, this is how much it costs to work with me. And if you don't like it, you don't have to buy the ticket to the Beyonce concert. Just don't go. Watch the snippets on YouTube.
They always say it'll never be like the actual experience. But I think we as people in general, and not I just speak as a collective, but there are a lot of people out there that I feel like, you have all these, whether it's gossip and you saying, oh, Beyonce this or whatever that. But I think if we change our mindset with a lot of these things, that we make it easy on ourselves as we continue to live this life to thrive, because a lot of that to me is like negative talk. And in this day and time, I can't do, you said, you mentioned yourself, you want to have the right circle as far as when you're trying to be abundant and live an abundant life. If you don't have the right circle and you have all that negative talk stuff, it does something to the mind. And it's like, I'm trying to protect my mind.
that doggone circle is so important. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
Yes,
because we have to, especially as African American people, we have to normalize having healthy conversations about money. Recently, the president did the State of the Union address. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, what about the state of our union? What about the state of our money? For us as women, for African Americans, like, we have to normalize having conversations about money. I ain't even talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, because to this day, I still don't really understand that, if I can be honest.
Me neither.
I just like basic fundamental concepts, and to really get a hold of that. And I need to know that when I'm at brunch with my girls, that I'm hanging with some sisters that after we kiki and ha about all the other random stuff, fashion and makeup and hair, then let's come over here and talk about, okay, so what are you doing, sis, to build your wealth? Like, and not to have no emotion around, like, what do you have your estate plan together? What's your portfolio looking like? How you doing with your savings? Again,
that's what I'm talking about.
How you doing with your savings, sis? Girl, I had to dip into my savings because I wanted to go to Mexico, but I'm gonna get it, just conversations like that. I want us to feel comfortable enough in our circles to really hold each other accountable, because those of us who have children, families, organizations and alma maters that we believe in, God forbid anything happen to us too soon. I don't want to leave this planet no time soon, but if I do, I want to make sure that my son is taken care of, my husband, my parents, my people I love, the organizations that I believe in. Let them feel the Monique Caradine-Kitchens legacy 50 years from now. Let my great grandkids, who I may never meet, feel that I cared about them and that I loved them, even though I never met them. And I thought of them, and that they won't have to have the same types of struggles that I did, or that you did, or that we did, that it'll be easier. Like, let's create some Rockefeller type of money. The Rockefellers are still benefiting from what Rockefeller did generations ago. Same with the Kennedys. Like the Kennedy great grandkids, they never had to worry about nothing.
Nope.
Why can't we do that?
I know, and but it seems like it just goes unsaid. You don't have people that really even talk like that these days. It's just like, it is what it is. Because like, even when you said Beyonce earlier, my mind goes to, well, is Beyonce the only one that could do it? Like you said, we all should be able to have that in us. It might not be on that level, but at the same time, you have your own level. We are our own people. We should be able to kind of hone in on something. Like, it's almost like, to me, in this day and time, as people who are living on Earth, for some of us, regardless of whether you got a calling or not, it's like some of us just, I don't know, just kind of just existing from day to day, not really knowing what it is that we're doing. And it's just like, you got to be exact. Like you said, when we're talking to whether your homegirls or my homeboys, I got to know, like you said, what are you doing with how are you doing with your finances? This, that, and the third. Like, it's cool to have the cool talk, but let's get to what we need to help us out so we can really figure out how we're going to steer this in the right direction. Because at the end of the day, I would like to think that we all really want each other to win.
That's why your show is so important. Like, even just having this conversation, my hope is that it'll spark something in someone to say, okay, let me check out Kiya. Let me look at his library and see what else he out here talking about. Let me see if I can get, some of my homies to think about money in a different kind of way. Let me get some resources. There's so many books out there, and let's do like a little barbershop talk, about wealth building or, anything like that. But our inner circle, if our inner circle isn't talking about those things, and we're not talking about those things, then guess what? We're going to be having the same struggles 10 years from now when our kids are growing up and having their own kids. And do we really want that? Don't we want to create a scenario that's a little bit better for them, to advance not just our families forward, but an entire community, an entire generation of people forward? Possibilities are endless. And that's what excites me about this work.
Yes, and I try not to be preachy, but at the same time, I wanted to be able to put it out there because talk is powerful and it can seep into the mind. And I'm hoping that all of this is talk that really starts to create something in everybody's mind that really like that light bulb that goes off. It don't have to be an idea, but it has to be something that lets you know, okay, I heard it on his show. Let me go ahead and try to let me go ahead and do this now. I heard Dr. Caradine-Kitchens say this. Okay, let me write this. Just something that kind of steers you, to try to move you or whatnot. Really,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. Just that one little nugget that creates that little teeny tiny mindset shift can make a big difference.
I had put a star down here. This part here where I was reading. Okay. In 2015, you founded the Overflow Coach Certification Program, where you train women on specific techniques so they can help others tap into their overflow. To learn more, and then you said to learn more about it, upcoming Overflow Coach Certification Cohort, go to your website overflownow.com. As far as overflow in and of itself, are you finding that it's easier or harder or more challenging these days to really help people to see that they should have some kind of overflow in their life? Like, are they lacking somewhat or?
I am finding another great question, by the way. Thank you for asking. Honestly, I'm finding that it's a little bit easier now than it has been in the past. And again, my audience in particular is African American women. I work with all people, obviously, but that's been kind of like my focus and my passion for so many years, and for various reasons. But when I first started out in coaching over a decade ago, it was really hard to get some women to invest in themselves, because I think as Black women, we do it all. We tend to wear a cape on our backs because that's just how we do. We'll figure things out. That was me. I got to figure this thing out because that's all I saw my mom and my grandmother do. They figured everything out.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like to hire a coach for me was like admitting weakness, admitting defeat, admitting that I couldn't figure everything out. So I had to change that. And I found that when I became a coach, a lot of women that I came across had that same mentality. So to get a woman to say, yes, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to get somebody that can hold me accountable to the things I said I could do. I'm going to invest in an understanding of whatever it is I need to know so I can do it easier, quicker, faster. So before it was harder, but now it seems a little bit easier. Maybe that's because of my own continuing mindset shift. I think I probably carry a different vibe around how I offer my message. It's not so much of a, you got to get a coach, you got to get a coach. It's more like, hey, I'm here. Here are some ideas. I would love to recommend them. If you need support, let me know. Let's see if we make a good fit. So I don't know. I just find it easier, and I'm not so, I know I need to work with the right kind of people. So I'm not just trying to get everybody to come work with me. It's just the woman that really knows that she's worthy of more, that's ready for her overflow. You got to have a sense of readiness. Something you got to be kind of disrupted for you to be like, I know it's something more out here for me. Let me see who can help me. And then once they start to Google, hopefully somewhere, somehow, my name will show up and that's how they come into my world.
Yeah, but I feel like if we do what we do on our end right now to have all of this, like knowing that whether it's a place in your life where you may be lacking or knowing that it's a place where you need to really correct, it's good to know that you need to do it. Or like you said, you have an evolving mindset. It's always kind of challenge you to push past, because I hate it when you get to a point where you got to get into some trouble or get into some this. And then it's like, then you finally realize, and it's like, regardless, you might get to that point then, but it's like, why does it have to take that? I don't want all that chaos and stuff. I don't want that. I want to know it now. Like,
yeah, that's such a good point. It's like, cause God is always going to give us a little tap on the shoulder, a little nudge somewhere inside. And so if you ignore the nudge, eventually it's going to be that knock upside your head. What you said is you in trouble, or you in something that you can't get out of on your own. And so I think the message in what you just said so brilliantly is like, don't ignore the nudge. If you got a sense in your gut that says it'd be good for you to have some support in this big vision that you have, it will be good for you to have an accountability partner who can help you see your blind spots as you go on your journey. Because we all have a destination that we're getting to. You know, some call it your destiny. And there's some people listening right now, Kiya, that have a really big vision on the inside of them. And for some of y'all, it probably scares the crap out of you. Like, pardon me, but you know, sometimes you got a vision and a dream in you that's so big, it's like, oh my goodness. Even the thought of it gives you like butterflies in your stomach. And when you have that, whereas some people will try to push it down and ignore it, and they'll stay hanging out with the homies on the corner or hanging out at the wherever people hang out now, as opposed to saying, I'll get with the homies later. But now this thing that's inside of me, it just won't turn me loose. So let me see if I can start to talk to somebody, right? To see how I can help make this dream unfold, because it won't let me go. And I'm sure, I mean, here you are with a TV show, and I don't know how many of your friends had TV shows, but that took something in you to say, man, I'm gonna launch this show, man, because there's something in me. I got something to say. I got a voice. Let me go see how I can do this. And if ain't nobody else gonna let me on their show, I'm gonna create my own show. That takes something. And I don't know who helped you or supported you or cheered you on, but you got to have that person. You got to, because your dream is big, and the world is not going to be what it could be until you allow that dream to unfold. And it always takes supportive community, a tribe, accountability team to help us bring those dreams to life.
Oprah said back in the day, she said, for anybody who's out there and you're interested in doing whatever it is that you want to do in this world, she said, always go about the business of doing it. Because I think for a lot of us, and I think me included, but a lot of people, we're waiting on someone to give us an opportunity. We're waiting on someone to do it for us. We're waiting on someone to give us a raise. We're waiting on this person to do that. But it's like you had to get to a point in your life where I'm not waiting anymore. I'm doing it myself. And if you don't want to help me along the way, if you don't want to help me at all, that's cool. It's too many people in the world to keep on waiting and stopping and putting things at a halt. How do you feel about that?
Oh, man. you saying that made me think about a story. When I was growing up, the kids in my neighborhood, every summer, they would go to the end of the block, because I live right by the train tracks. And so there was like this little lot before you get to the tracks. And we would play softball and kickball and everything right over there by the tracks. And I was never good at like the sports and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go over there when they were picking teams, and I was always the last one to get chosen for the team, because it was like I just wasn't that good, and my feelings would be so hurt. But then what dawned on me is that you can't wait for somebody to pick you.
Mm-mm.
You got to pick yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would go out there and I would practice. I would get one of my friends, help me practice with this bat, so I could get better at hitting the ball and stuff. But the moral of the story, and why I love what you said so much, is that you cannot wait for somebody to pick you. You have got to pick yourself. That's why you have your own show, because you didn't wait on somebody to pick you. That's why I have all my platforms in my business and all the things that I do. I wrote a book. I didn't wait on the publishing company to say, okay, we're going to give you a deal. No, I picked myself. These are my words. I ain't got to wait on you. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I agree with Oprah. I agree with you. I applaud you. You are an example. And if there's anybody out there watching that has a dream, be about the business of walking that thing out. And you'll be surprised that how the people and the resources that you need will begin to show up. God never gives you a vision without also giving provision. So when you start walking that thing out, you'll be, ooh, such and such want to help me do what? Oh, such and such giving me some money for what? It'll just start to show up. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's an excellent point and a great reminder.
Thank you. Yeah, in this day and time, I just wanted to put it out there, because I feel like you just got people who get into a state of mind, have all this talent in the world, have so much, and not just talent, just have this skill, have this acumen, and you're just sitting around, and because that's what I mean. For me, I just had to piggyback. This is what kills me sometimes. There's people out there who graduate college with these degrees and whatnot, and still don't find a job and whatnot. And I understand we all start from a certain place. We some of us might be at a place where we're looking for a job, but then it's like something. I guess it just has, maybe it's life experience. Maybe you have to go through enough life experience to get to a place where you got to figure out some of this stuff. But it's like, I can't wait anymore. If God is putting a certain calling on my life, regardless of who it is and this, that, and the third, I gotta shoot for it. I gotta aim for it, because if I don't shoot for it, if I don't aim for it, then I'm gonna be stuck. However old I get or whatnot, if I get that old or whatnot, not trying to speak the baby, I'm saying you're gonna get to a point where you're just looking back and be like, man, I could have did so much. Because that's how I'm looking at it now. Just like when you said, generations to come. You want your kids, your generations from years and years to be like, wow, Grandma Monique really she really loved us. She really looked out for us. Look at how much we benefited from, because your legacy means more than anything. And I feel like a lot of times, I mean, though we have people who, go and leave and come this world and whatnot. But I always, it's so sad when, so many people who've stood on so much, who work for so much in life. And then some people just don't realize how much that you're standing on, and just to get to a point where it's just like you have no hope. Yeah, that's the part. That's all a part of mental health. Yeah, you go through what you go through, you feel how you feel, but you got to get yourself to a point where I can't. No, let me choose life over death, because if I don't do anything, then it's like you're the living dead, and I don't want to be that way. But that's why I wanted to bring the show back this time around, because I really want people to have hope, but to really be inspired just to go beyond all of this stuff. Because the world gonna give you this full share of ups and downs, but don't have that pushback in your own mind that's gonna make you feel a certain way. No, it's like, regardless of, I messed up here, but I'm not gonna beat myself up there. Okay, let me just correct what I did wrong and let me go this way instead. Like we just had to really like hold ourselves up and stop this. It can be so degrading. I'm speaking from experience, but I'm speaking because I have this newfound sense of life, because if I'm bringing the show back after it was 2016 when I had my last episode, and I'm bringing it back now, then there's somewhere that God wants somebody. Yeah, it's somewhere that God wants somebody to hear this, and I want people to just always never lose faith and never lose hope that you can start anywhere. And just don't beat yourself, because you can get like that too. You can beat yourself up. You can feel bad. You can feel like all this and all that. But just really realize that you have so much to live for. And look, for some people may not have kids. They're just that and there. But you still have people who are watching you, right, who are still trying to learn an example from you. So you got to be cognizant. And that's me. I'm cognizant now. I want to look back at a lot of my stuff from years ago and be like, oh wow, okay, I see where I was going there. Oh God, I said that. But like you kind of think like that. So that's why I wanted you on the show, because I really believe that people need to know how to do right by their money, because like you said, it's not well, I don't know what to do here. Because I think a lot of that stuff is a fear tactic. Like some people just don't really just get kind of, like, no, it's not no fear. Just breathe. Yeah. Breathe, because like anything you're doing, you should be trying to figure out the business of it. Because it's one thing when you're learning how to do it. It's one thing when you're volunteering to do it. It may be one thing when you're interning to do it. But at some point, you want to get paid to do it, so you can be able to. How else are we living in this world? They say money ain't everything, but what's paying the lights? What's doing this, that, and the third? So Any final thoughts?
Yeah, you said so much there. There was such richness in your statement that you made. And I don't know, I guess one thing that stood out based on what you just said is, you shared that you had your own journey. You talked about bringing this show back after so many years. You and I have that in common. I'm bringing something back. You're bringing something back. Yeah. And that is a testament to the fact that our dreams aren't dead. Your dream isn't dead, because look, here we are. I started training coaches again. My program is launching next week. God said, my dream is not dead. Nope. And so if you got a dream, it may have been so many years between when you started it and where you are now, or may have been so many setbacks and problems and challenges. And so I guess I would encourage people to revisit that big dream you had, because we're in a season where things are being resurrected. There's a revival happening. And I think the Creator is calling us to revisit those dreams that He put on the inside of us.
So right.
And don't think that it's dead, because it's not. It's just waiting on you to come back and do like you did and say, hey, I'm going to start this show back up again. And I'm so honored to be the first person to help you kick this off, because there's some synergy in what we're both doing. So I just want to applaud you, brother. I just want to encourage you. Thank you, first of all, for having me. And just what you're doing is incredible work. Keep sharing your voice. You're inspiring people, bro. Like, it's like literally, like We need your voice out here. And thank you so much for letting me be a part of this platform and sharing me with your audience. I really value this moment.
No problem, no problem. And finally leave this off. I know some people are going to be out there with this. What I've learned I've discovered this back in 2020. One day I was playing around in my bedroom and whatnot, and I saw like a little bottle of bubbles or whatnot, and I just started to blow them in or whatnot, and just to kind of have a joy in doing that. And since 2020 up until now, I've kind of been doing this. At 2020 was a little bottle of bubbles, but now I have this bubble gun here. and,
I love that so much. You just gave me a goosebump.
And for many people out there, I mean, some people I was kind of hesitant at one point as far as putting it on TV or whatnot, but I feel like, we got to, see the joy in everything and not take ourselves too seriously. But not just that, bubbles for me anyway, I don't blow them all the time, but it can have healing power if you choose to see it that way and if you choose to believe in that way. But it's just to just take your mind off stuff. I mean, your mind goes every which way. I feel like as the older you get, so it's like if anything I can take just to be peaceful for a little bit, I'm gonna take that. So that's why I wanted to end it off with blowing the bubbles, and this was so much needed for you to be on the show, because it's tuning us into what we need to be paying attention to the most. So I thank you so much, Dr. Monique Caradine-Kitchens, and I really do want to follow up with you in the future, because I look forward to getting updates and just being able to kind of follow your journey along the way as well. So thank you so much for joining the show today.
It's been my pleasure. It really has. Thank you for having me.